Hello everyone, my name is Roberto Antonio de la Montaña Rodriguez Castro de Maria Gutierrez, but you may call me Robbie for short. And today, we're giving Pokemon teams to the cast of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 16. This is an ongoing series with many more Drag Race seasons to cover. Make sure to subscribe to stay caught up on new videos. And without further ado, let's get started. Let's begin with our first eliminated contestant, Hershii LiqCour-Jeté, drag sister of Cornbread-Jeté, whom I gave a ground type specialty in my Season 14 video. Hershii follows in Cornbread's footsteps, sharing the same type specialty as I focused on the earthy tones and elements of nature included in her runway package. Her first Pokemon is Nymphia, based on her talent show performance. This number was set in the jungle, where she was looking for wig glue. I didn't quite understand why she was looking for wig glue in the jungle, but whiplash, I guess. Whiplash. Nymphia is based on a cicada, a species of bug known to thrive in tropical environments. Her second Pokemon is Cristál, based on her significant mother runway. She chose to represent Mother Nature with this look, which reminded me of Cristál's evolution, Torterra. Torterra is based on the world turtle, like the one we see on the final season of Avatar: The Last Airbender. To make up for its lack of a ground type, I chose a ground Terra type. I also like to think that during a rematch, Hershii would evolve her Nymphia and give Ninjask a ground Terra to better defend against its electric type weakness. Every time we think of this elimination, my heart breaks just a little bit more. Mirage Amuro is our second gym leader, specializing in psychic type Pokemon. I based her specialty on her drag name, as a Mirage can be defined as an illusion without basis in reality. Her first Pokemon is Galarian Ponyta, based on her talent show performance. Heel clacking? Yes ma'am. More please. Her colorful looks like she shops for accessories at Claire's style is very fitting for a unicorn-inspired Pokemon. I also associated her amazing heel clacking performance with the sounds horses make when they trot. The second Pokemon is Xatu, which I paired with her entrance look. Xatu's design borrows elements from a Native American totem, which fits perfectly with her Mexican and Native American heritage. Her look also has eyes on her chest, much like how Xatu has a shape that resembles a face with eyes. Her final Pokemon is Alolan Grimer, paired with her Call Me Mother-Father Eleganza runway, which would have a psychic Terra type. I paired it with this look for its dark green color scheme. Grimer's poison typing references her entrance line. I hope you trash bags are ready to lose. Plus, its evolution further references her colorful style. I'm aware that Trubbish was more fitting, but it's not available in Gen 9, and I really wanted the footage of each Pokemon terrestrializing since I couldn't do it for Season 15. Clear your schedules, because a mandatory meeting is in session. I gave our third gym leader a normal type specialty, as her drag name comes from Office culture, which reminded me of Larry from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Her first Pokemon is Glameow, based on her Mother Goose runway. I initially thought of Purugly because Amanda was quick on her retorts, and Purugly is surprisingly fast. I talked about Purugly's surprising speed stat in my 7 surprisingly tough Pokemon battles video, and you should totally check out all my non-Drag Race related videos, by the way. But I realized upon researching that it evolves at level 38, which is far too high for a third gym leader. That means Galactic Admin Mars had an illegal Purugly in Gen 4, just so you know. Her second Pokemon is Delcatty, based on her talent show performance. I thought this pairing was perfect, as a reference to her kitty and its pink color scheme. Well, I guess it's not pink after it evolves. She was trying to find her kitty and ended up finding 2 instead.
Wait, girl, where's my kitty?
Amanda is really going for that crazy cat lady stereotype, huh? Her final Pokemon is Rufflet, based on her faster Pussycat Wig runway. Michelle said she didn't understand the concept, but the concept is very clear. It's a bird's nest. Rufflet is a weaker Pokemon, but I think it could do some early game devastating damage with a base 85 attack. This Rufflet would have a normal Terra type to further boost its normal type moves. I have to thank Anne-Marie in my Discord server for this suggestion, which you can also join using the link in the description. Someone also pointed out on Instagram that Tori in Japanese means bird, which made this choice even more appropriate. Get in, losers, we're going to clear customs. A fourth gym leader is Geneva Karr, whose type specialty is Steel, for her drag name being a play on the phrase, do you need a car? Her first Pokemon has to be Varoom. It's the main reason for her Steel type team. Her automotive brand and vehicle commentary made this a very obvious choice, which she's especially leaned into during the girl group challenge. Her second Pokemon is Ferocity, based on her promo look. I thought the protruding spikes under her dress looked like the spikes on Ferocity's body. Plus, its oval shape reminded me of grenades, which I associated with her camouflage pattern. Her final Pokemon is Scovillain, based on her talent show performance. I have to thank Eran on my Discord server for this perfect suggestion. This choice is a reference to the pepper she grabbed at the beginning of her number, and spicy foods are very common in Mexican cuisine. This Scovillain would have a steel Terra type, which would help negate its weaknesses to poison and flying. Move over, Sasha Colby, there's a new goddess in town, and her name is Megami. Her drag name in Japanese means goddess. That was a joke. I'm letting you know now before you come for me in the comments saying that Sasha Colby is better than Megami or whatever. Megami's favorite type is Psychic, but I feel that Dark is a better fit for her drag style since her entrance look embraces the concept of Santeria. The first Pokemon is Absol, based on her Meiju look runway. This look is inspired by biblically accurate angels with their many eyes and angelic wings. It reminded me of Absol's Mega Evolution and its wing-like mane. Her second Pokemon is Houndoom, based on her red carpet look for the season premiere. Houndoom very likely draws inspiration from the Hellhounds of Norse mythology, which is a perfect choice for a devil-inspired look like this one. Megami is an activist as well, and I associated her line of being a conservative's worst nightmare with the religious panic of the 90s surrounding Pokemon and the concept of evolution. And the prop, fun fact, is a reference to the staff of Homa from Genshin Impact. Her final Pokemon is Indeedee, based on her talent show performance, which would have a dark Terra type. All the members of her team have horns, a motif that I now associate with Megami's style of drag. Indeedee is categorized as the emotion Pokemon, and this number was full of emotion. It again relates to Megami's role as an activist, while also referencing her love of psychic types. Run for high ground, there's the Xunami coming! Xunami Muse, that is. Xunami's drag name alludes to her water type specialty, which she took from tsunamis and natural disasters. Her first Pokemon is an aqua breed Paldean Tauros, based on her faster Pussycat Wig Wig runway. This look is inspired by matadors in Spanish culture. The outfit is similar to Ginger Johnson's finale look in UK Series 5, which I paired with Cantonian Tauros, but Paldean Tauros makes perfect sense for Xunami, for her Hispanic heritage. Her second Pokemon is Palafin, which I paired to her dollhouse look for its color scheme. Xunami wanted her drag name to sound like a superhero, which makes Palafin a perfect choice. I debated on whether to include it because it has a very high base stat total, but I was sold on the idea when I remembered that Norman from Hoenn has a slacking for the 5th gym. Besides, it has to spend one turn switching out before it can transform into its hero form. Her final Pokemon is Executor, based on her Mother Goose runway. This Humpty Dumpty inspired look is arguably Tsunami's best look on the show, so I had to include it. With only 3 options, I decided on Executor since a water Terra type would be advantageous in a competitive setting to defend against its fire type weakness. If you're looking for a side hustle, just go out and sell some plasma. Plasma must be an electric type trainer, as plasma in chemistry is an ionized gas into which sufficient energy is provided to free electrons from atoms or molecules. Plus, Zeraora's signature move is Plasma Fists. Her first Pokemon is Boltund, based on her entrance look. Her drag style is vintage and old Hollywood inspired, which makes me think of Professor Magnolia from the Galar region. Boltund is also very speedy, and Plasma's runway walk always looks like she got somewhere to be. Her second Pokemon is Bellybolt, which I paired with her red carpet look for the season premiere. Bellybolt's design is inspired by a plasma ball toy, which fits perfectly with her drag name. I paired it with this look for the green color scheme, and the orange hair has a similar shape to Bellybolt's body. Her third Pokemon is Pincurchin, based on her Mhi'ya look runway. I have to thank Dre the Stallion on my Discord server for this sharp suggestion. This look is inspired by a pincushion, and coincidentally, Pincurchin's design is too. I usually stick to 3 Pokemon max for gym leaders, but we have more conceptual runways in modern seasons, which makes choosing teams a bit easier. Her final Pokemon is Mr. Rhyme, with an electric Terra type, based on her Dancing Queen runway. This runway category featured looks based on different dancing genres, and Plasma chose Tap, which reminded me of Mr. Rhyme's battle animation. I saw an artwork from LauraLiv_art on Instagram, we follow each other by the way, of Florges with Plasma's flower runway, which was absolutely beautiful, but I wanted to take a different approach. This Mr. Rhyme would have an electric Terra type, which advantageously takes away all of Mr. Rhyme's 6 weaknesses. Mr. Rhyme is not in Gen 9, so this will be the only exception in which I can't showcase footage of the Pokemon terrestrializing. Please welcome to the stage, La Reina de las Piruetas! Woo! That's how you say Queen of Flips in Spanish. My Iman page is one of our final gym leaders, alternating with her corporate seminar partner, Dawn, who was coincidentally eliminated right after. I've incorporated elements of her Queen of Flips title into a fire-type team, since Mhi'ya described herself as a ball of fire. I also have to thank Anne-Marie and Zane on my Discord server for helping me come up with this team. Her first Pokemon is Blaziken, based on her entrance look. The silhouette of this outfit immediately reminded me of Combusken. I opted for its evolved form, however, since we'd be battling a final gym leader. Blaziken is known for its incredible acrobatic ability, as seen in the fighting game Pokémon Tournament, which seems like a perfect partner for her. Her second Pokemon is Centiskorch, based on her Call Me Mother Father Eleganza runway. This look takes inspiration from punk fashion, such as the plaid and the safety pin as a septum piercing. I associate punk fashion with bugs to an extent. Think of Spice's talent show look on season 15. It's also a choice I made for Danny Beard that I'm confident in taking again. Her third Pokemon is Alolan Marowak, paired with her Dancing Queen's runway. Mhi'ya is of Haitian descent, which I associated with Alola's tropical climate since Haiti is located in the Caribbean. Fun fact, Mhi'ya is actually the drag granddaughter of season 13's Tamisha Iman, according to her Entertainment Weekly interview with Joey Nolfi. After some research, I also came across this Pokédex entry for Alolan Marowak. It has transformed the spirit of its dear departed mother into flames, and tonight it will once again dance in mourning of others of its kind. Mhi'ya's drag mother, Jada Iman, passed away years ago, which solidified my choice. Her final Pokemon is Hitmontop, based on her Meiju look runway, which would have a fire Terra type. We know Hitmontop for spinning on its head, and Mhi'ya is known as the Queen of Flips after all. I also liked how the exposed chest on this look resembles Hitmontop's body, which looks a bit like a wrestling singlet. Sleeping is for losers. I'd rather stay up until dawn. The drag style is very ethereal and elf-inspired, which makes our other final gym leader a mandatory fairy type. Get it? Because Dawn and Amanda are the closest of anyone in the cast? Anyway, her first Pokemon is Togekiss, paired with her Everything, Every Share, All at Once runway. Dawn's drag name comes from the female protagonist from Diamond and Pearl, who also has a Togekiss on her team. I paired it with this look simply for the matching color scheme. Her second Pokemon is Grimmsnarl, paired with her promo look. I paired it with this look as the silhouette of this outfit is similar to its body. Plus, it can learn fighting type moves, which references the promo's military or combat theme. I have to thank Neslin on my Discord server for this reasoning. Grimmsnarl can also have the ability Prankster, which is fitting for a character like Dawn, who is quite mischievous. Her third Pokemon is Hatterene, based on her faster Pussycat Wig runway. Dawn has many looks with an association to aliens, of which Hatterene has a resemblance to. I focused on the connection between Hatterene's antenna and Dawn's large hand-like handbag. Her final Pokemon is Low-Key Form Toxtricity, based on her DragCon 1980s runway, which would have a fairy Terra type. I have to thank Enan on my Discord server once again for the suggestion, as its punk rock design meshes very well with this outfit. This Pokédex entry from Pokemon Scarlet further builds a case as to why Toxtricity's low-key form suits her better. Many youths admire the way this Pokemon listlessly picks fights and keeps its cool no matter what opponent it faces. Gallade would have been a fun choice because it evolves with a Dawnstone, but I couldn't justify pairing it with any of her runways. Great job! You've bested every gym leader and obtained the gym badges necessary for your next challenge, the Elite Four. After 8 tough battles, we move on to the Pokémon League, the toughest challenge for anyone who aspires the coveted title of Pokémon League Champion. But first, they must defeat the members of the Elite Four, in this case, the 4 runners-up from this season. We began our challenge with Morphine Love Dion, our first Elite Four member and a grass-type specialist. While the actual drug can be prescribed as medication to sedate pain, which could have explained a poison-type specialty, morphine actually comes from the opium poppy flower. Morphine also draws inspiration from her biggest idol, Gali Uchis, who has incorporated flowers, particularly orchids, in her music. Her first Pokemon is Serena, paired with her True Colors runway. Serena's design is based on a mangosteen, a tropical fruit that can be grown in the state of Florida, and its physical attributes reference her Brazilian butt lift largely due to its voluptuous figure. I paired it to this look since Serena is actually classified as a purple Pokemon in the Pokédex. Her second Pokemon is Sunflora, based on her Flowers runway. This is a very self-explanatory choice, hence the crown of sunflowers on her head. Sunflowers are also a common motif associated with the 1960s and 70s. Her third Pokemon is Jumpluff, based on her red carpet look for the season premiere. This look is made from fluffy white fabric that reminded me of dandelions, which Jumpluff is based on. Plus, I enjoy the similarity between this look's feathery frills and dandelion fluffs. Normally we stick to 4 Pokemon for the Elite Four, but we again have more conceptual runways in future seasons that make it easier to choose teams. Her fourth Pokemon is Toedscruel, based on her Call Me Mother Father Eleganza runway. This choice is very funny to me as her hat kind of looks like the rim of a mushroom head and similar to Toadsquirrel's head. Certain mushrooms are also known for their hallucinogenic effects, which alludes to her drag name. If you're still not convinced, might I point out the pink protrusions on Toadsquirrel's cap looking like Morphine's butt. They told me on Discord if I didn't include this, I wouldn't be taken seriously. Her final Pokemon is Baile Style or Choreo, based on her Dancing Queen runway. Morphine is a lover of Spanish culture, and this look represents flamenco, which this form of Oricorio is also based on. This Oricorio would have a grass Terra type to help combat its weaknesses to water and electric. Oricorio's signature ability is Dancer, which copies any dancing move that any Pokemon performs in battle, and perfectly reflects this runway. Plus, a dancing Pokemon for the winner of the Lollapalooza is simply correct. The next trainer of the Elite Four is a shining member of the Alphabet Mafia. Q would challenge you to a battle with her Bug-type team, as she is one of the most capable seamstresses to come on the show. I'll take a moment to promote my other Pokemon videos. Can you defeat Gira using her own champion team? What is the most damage a Pokemon can deal in a single turn? How does Terapagos define Kieran's journey of self-worth? You can watch these and more on my recent uploads playlist, and remember to subscribe and comment on them to get more of these non-Drag Race related videos recommended to you. Q's first Pokemon is Leavanny, based on her Call Me Mother-Father Eleganza runway. Many bugs are known for producing silk from their bodies, and Leavanny is one of these such Pokemon, as it makes the leafy hood for their young Sewaddle to wear. Leavanny is also an almost exact match to the silhouette of this look, with a big collar around Q's neck area and a short train that extends from her waist. Her second Pokemon is Escavalier, based on her faster Pussycat Wig runway. This is such a great choice that it was frequently posted on my Discord server even after I had already stopped taking suggestions. The connection is very apparent given the parallels they draw to medieval knights. She even has a knight's helmet that she took off for that runway. Her third Pokemon is Ribombee, based on her dollhouse look. Her doll was branded as the Fantasy Edition, which is absolutely fitting for a fairy-type Pokemon. She even has wire fairy-like wings and simulated how fairies flutter their wings during her runway presentation. I like this pairing for its color scheme as well, and the pleated fabric wrapped around her waist reminds me of Ribombee's brown scarf. Her fourth Pokemon is Scizor, based on her Chain Reaction runway. Q's menacing stare when she doesn't win reminds me of Claire from the Johto games, and the chain-laced loops on this outfit look like Scizor's eye-patterned pincers, which it uses to intimidate foes. I have to thank Sammy on my Discord server for this suggestion, and Kit for connecting Q's sewing skills with cutting up old clothes into new pieces using a pair of scissors. Her final Pokemon is Lurantis, based on her Flowers runway. Q took the concept of an orchid mantis and amped it to a whole new level. It's perfectly pink, filled with orchids, and has stilts on her arms to simulate the sides at the end of an orchid mantis's arms. This Lurantis would have a bug Terra type, to reference its lack of a bug typing, similar to Brassius's Truly Rudo. Her Boogerfinger wasn't giving, it was actually taking my order. Plain Jane is part of this season's Elite Four, sporting a team of poison-type Pokemon, largely due to her promo look referencing the music video for Britney Spears' Toxic, and her very shady commentary. Her Boogerfinger wasn't giving, it was actually taking me to the hospital. She thought she ate, but she ended up giving me food poisoning. I have more of these. You've heard of Boogerfinger, now get ready for Greasy Pinky. Her Boogerfinger wasn't giving, it was actually taking the win away from Nymphia. Okay, I'm done. Her first Pokemon is Seviper, based on her promo look. The connection to Toxic once again comes to mind, as Plane is dressed as a flight attendant. Her drag name comes from her affinity for airplanes, which reminded me of the 2006 film, Snakes on a Plane. Her second Pokemon is Toxapex, based on her dollhouse look. I have to thank Ashlina, also known as Walkable Boat, on my Discord server for this suggestion. This look has an aquatic theme, fitting for a water-type Pokemon. Toxapex is very territorial, getting into fierce battles with Bruxish over areas where warm ocean currents flow. This Pokedex entry from Pokemon Violet to me resonates with Plane's vulnerable moments on the show. Plane also had an outfit with spikes for her premiere look, which referenced the spikes on its starfish-like legs. Her third Pokemon is Roserade, based on her Flowers runway. This look showed a more subdued and graceful side to Plane's drag. Roses are indeed beautiful, but also have harmful thorns, kind of like how Plane can be an abrasive yet compassionate person. Her fourth Pokemon is Sneasler, based on her DragCon 1980s runway. Sneasler is a result of Sneasel adapting to life on cliffsides in the frozen highlands of Hisui. Sneasler is a threatening Pokemon to other creatures in its habitat, which feels like a great choice for Plain's talent and personality. I especially love how the streak in her hair is the same color as the long feather on Sneasler's head. Her final Pokemon is Malamar, based on her significant mother runway. This choice is for me and my sense of humor. Plain chose to reference Octomom, a lady by the name of Nadia Suleiman who gave birth to octuplets. That's 8 children from the same pregnancy. I associated this with an octopus. They lay multiple eggs and have 8 arms. I know Grapploct is based on an octopus, but it's not available in Scarlet and Violet. Malamar, however, is, and it would have a poison Terra type. It's not exactly an octopus, but it's also based on a cephalopod, and its dark typing fits Plain's mischievous and sometimes rude nature. Finally, we have the crown jewel of our cast, Sapphira Cristál. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay tuned to next week's video, in which we'll explore what Sapphira Cristál's team would have been if she had won. I decided on an ice-type specialty, as a sapphire is her birthstone, which is commonly associated with ice and Mhi'ya. Take Sapphire from Steven Universe, for example, or any weapon fused with a sapphire in Tears of the Kingdom. Let's start with her first Pokemon, Lapras, based on her grand finale Eleganza runway. Lapras is a smart and kind-hearted Pokemon, much like Sapphira, fittingly so as she was crowned Miss Congeniality. It may sing an enchanted cry if it's in a good mood, according to its Pokédex entry from Pokémon Scarlet. And its Gigantamax form has a ring around its body that resembles a musical sheet. This look reminds me of Merfolk and sea creatures, similar to those in Dungeons & Dragons, which makes me think of Lapras' shell. Her second Pokemon is Cryogonal, based on her True Colors runway. Royal Blue is their signature color, as it is the color associated with her birthstone, Sapphire, which her name stems from. Cryogonal is categorized as the crystallizing Pokemon, similar to her drag name. I also enjoy how the beads resemble the bead-like whiskers that extend from Cryogonal's snowflake body. Her third Pokemon is Aurorus, paired with her look for the Metropolitan Museum. I like how the rhinestones and the sheer fabric on this outfit remind me of the crystals and the sails that run the length of Aurorus' body. Sapphires are precious stones, and many gem-like Pokemon tend to be rock types. Her fourth Pokemon is Glaceon, based on her faster Pussycat Wig runway. This outfit was a reference to the Austin Powers movies. Glaceon is the closest we can get to a non-legendary ice-type cat, and I thought this scene with his frozen cat was perfect for this choice.
It's frickin' freezing in here, Mr. Bigglesworth.
Her final Pokemon is Carbink, which I paired to her DragCon 1980s runway. Thank you to Dawn Stone, a local drag queen from Florida and fellow content creator, for this wonderful suggestion. We have an ongoing feud in our Instagram stories that you can follow over there. Carbink is categorized as the jewel Pokemon, and is a must for a drag queen whose name comes from a precious jewel. She is officially Philadelphia's crown jewel, after all. This Carbink bears an ice Terra type, defending against its grass and ground weaknesses. I also really enjoy the similarities between Carbink and this look, represented by the white collars and glistening jewelry. Amazing job! We've beaten the Elite Four. Now let's find out which Pokemon our final challenger will face you with. At last, we've reached our final challenge. One more trainer stands in our way of receiving the coveted title of Ultimate Banana Supreme. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay tuned to next week's video to find out what Nymphia's Elite Four team would have looked like. Nymphia Wind is the first East Asian winner of the main US franchise. Her affinity for bananas establishes a clear brand of camp and silliness, while her love of the color yellow embraces her identity by reclaiming the negative connotations towards East Asian folk. Her team sports different colors, however, as her runway package is quite versatile. I also propose a double battle format to better suit the powerhouses included on this team. You'll understand once we get to the end. Her first Pokemon is Tropius, based on her True Colors runway. She made her banana-themed brand very apparent on the show, wearing banana-themed outfits like this one. I chose this runway specifically because it's based on the concept of banana trees, which Tropius is also based on. Her second Pokemon is Sylveon, paired with her dollhouse look. Nymphia chose her drag name as it is the Japanese name for Sylveon. I paired Sylveon with this look for the color scheme and long pink ribbons. Now that we've gone through the obvious members, let's explore the rest of her team. Her third Pokemon is Poliwrath, based on her DragCon 1980s runway. The spirals on this outfit are the main event. They look almost exactly to the spirals on Poliwrath's stomach. I opted for Poliwrath for its fighting typing, which is an excellent counter for Tropius' weaknesses to Ice and Rock. We've covered half of her team, and not one of these have any yellow. Let's fix that. Her fourth Pokemon is Sapphira, based on her Call Me Mother Father Eleganza runway. What a fantastic look. She utilized men's ties to add depth to this outfit, and those reminded me of the frills draped around Espathra's body. Espathra's design is likely inspired by the Egyptian Queen Cleopatra, and Nymphia coincidentally wore a look inspired by the same concept in her Share runway. This Espathra would act as support for the final two team members, increasing their defenses to deal massive damage for a longer time. Her fifth Pokemon is Dragapult, based on her promo look. The theme for the season's promo was military uniforms, and Nymphia was actually in the military for 6 months. As a Taiwanese citizen, it is mandatory to serve in the military due to its relation to China. Dragapult draws inspiration from the B-2 Spirit military aircraft, as its head resembles their shape. She also studied in England for a time, and Dragapult was introduced in Galar. Ghost Pokemon are associated with morbidity, which Nymphia mentioned she has an affinity for in her performances. Her final Pokemon is Slacking, based on her Snatch Game performance. Nymphia did not perform well in the Snatch Game, yet she was memorable for her portrayal of Jane Goodall. She's a conservationalist who's most known for her work with chimpanzees and other primates. Slacking, you see, has primate-like features. Slacking has a very threatening base stat total of 670, which I thought was appropriate for a final challenge. It, however, has the hindering ability Truant, allowing it to only attack every other turn. Remember my double battle proposal? This is where it pays off. This Slacking would have a stellar Terra type, which powers up one move of each type once per battle. Many Pokemon players know the strategy of using skill swap on Slacking. With Espathra's support on the field, coupled with an offensive moveset, Slacking ensures massive damage to any opponent it encounters. What do you think of my choices? Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe for more Pokemon content coming your way. Thank you so much for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate you being here. Bye!